I'm really excited to be here Monday morning and to have Lucie join us and share her poem with us. I've read it, of course, and I think it's great. So I know that everyone else will enjoy it. She should be joining us momentarily. I hope you all had a lovely weekend. I was celebrating my birthday, so it was fun for me. We went hiking, big surprise, and ate some tasty food, which are my ideas of fun. So I had a good celebration. I hope you all did something enjoyable or took a nap or which is enjoyable this weekend. Hi. Uh, Lucie should be here any minute. Hi, Maxine. Hi, Elizabeth. We're just waiting for Lucie. Um, I hope you're reading something good. I'm reading this, Intimacies. I'm enjoying it. I love to read. I was just reading it the minute before we started. Hi. I'm vamping. If you have questions, here she is. And she's going to join us right now.
Hi.
Yay! Hi.
Yay. How's it going?
It's going. I was just vamping, which is
Yeah.
a part of the thing, but not my favorite part. I like talking. I like talking to someone else and hearing
Yeah.
their poem. And so I was saying I had a nice weekend. Did you have a nice
Good.
weekend?
I did. We went out to we have a cabin in the hill country, so we went
Mm-hmm.
out there and relaxed and did
It's
a
beautiful out there.
fire and yeah, it was really nice. So very relaxing. How about
Oh,
you? What'd you
relaxing is
do?
good. Yesterday we went up to Ojai for the day, which was lovely. We went on a hike and there was water in the river and we walked in the river on the rocks and ate good food and that's pretty much my ideal day. So
Yes, that sounds it would be
yeah,
lovely.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I think I'm a pretty easy date. So my
Yeah.
husband was like, "Oh, I'm glad you had a good birthday. We just like took a hike and ate food for kids."
Yep, that's what we
Hmm.
do.
That was
Uh,
good.
Thanks for the classes compliment, Elizabeth.
You saw,
So
it's gone
funny.
already on my screen. I like
Yeah.
them too.
Thank you.
Mhm.
They're my Zenni, Zenni is where I get them all from. And I get progressives for about $50.
Oh, that's
So
good.
it's a good deal.
That is a
Yeah.
good deal.
Yeah. So.
Thank you for being here for us, Elizabeth.
Yeah, that was not a paid advert, by the way. I have no relationship with them other than
th-
sending money their way.
that's goals, though. You can,
Yeah,
that's it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Look, Elizabeth is also trying to get on some of this
Yeah.
product pushing. It's an amazing deal.
Yes, it is.
Mhm.
It is. It is.
So, are you ready to read your poem?
I am ready.
Okay, go for it.
So, where I'm from, and this is inspired by George Ella Lyon's poem, I am from TV dinners, from Swanson's chicken pot pie and Morton's turkey and carrots, and from health food, homemade yogurt, always plain, and pressure cooked artichokes. I'm from San Antonio Summers, a one-story ranch wrapped around the swimming pool, decorator styled, full of liquor, electronics, and stepmothers, noisy with anger. Mostly I'm from Guadalajara, a tile-floored, wooden-beam two-story, warmed by books, classical music, and calm. I am from backyard mango trees, bright bougainvilleas, and field paths to the tienditas, fields with high brush, lean-tos, and secret shortcuts. I'm from helping in the darkroom and looking up words in a dictionary thicker than me. I'm from Toomey, I'm from Frost. I'm from blurting out what everyone is thinking and from becoming expert in every passion. From don't you ever be dependent on a man and good God, don't dog ear the pages. I'm from the Episcopal Church on Christmas and Easter and lazy Sundays the rest of the year. From you can believe or you cannot, you have a thinking mind, figure it out for yourself. I'm from Texas, from a family of bankers on one side, teachers and linguists on the other. I'm from steak, grilled rare, and from tacos al pastor. From G-Dad, who ran away to Mexico in his old age, forcing Mama to go track him down, and Uncle Dan, who tried the very same at 94. I'm from fierce independence. I'm from relatives remembered in Dia de los Muertos altars, from family portraits hung on walls. I'm from dark wood furniture passed through the generations, from Big Joe's four-poster bed, Lindy's prayer bench, and Bessie's china cabinet. Mostly, I'm from my brilliant, funny as hell, foul-mouthed mother, and that's a damn good place to be from. So that's it.
Yay!
Yes.
I love it. That is a damn good place to be from.
It is. I am so lucky. So lucky, because she's fun as hell. And, and she was taught at the university down in Guadalajara. So,
oh,
yeah.
I had no idea any of that. I mean, for me, the poem was like, oh, because you had said Giselle, who is from Guatemala and lives there, that her poem felt so familiar to you. And I was like, oh, well, maybe it's because she's from Texas. But no, it's because you lived in Guadalajara.
Yeah, no, hers felt familiar from Texas. But yes, the Mexico stuff feels familiar too when I hear about that. But yeah.
And my husband is from San Antonio. So and it's a multi-generational Texan. So whenever I hear like the china cabinet and obviously tacos al pastor, these things, they feel very familiar to me.
Yeah.
And remind me of his family.
And do y'all ever get down here?
Not very often. Especially right now.
Visit.
Yes, we should. It's we haven't. His sister lives. The last time we went to Texas, we went to Lubbock because that's where his sister lives. So, which is very different from San Antonio.
Yeah, I was like, San Antonio's nicer.
I would have to agree. You got the hill country there.
Yes.
But what a evocative poem. I feel like, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. And I'm just going to share that Lucie asked me what I thought of the last line and should she change it. And I was like, absolutely not. I love that last line. I mean, it was I sometimes orient myself like with the last line of the poem before we start these because I want to make sure I don't start clapping at the wrong place in the moment. And yours, I knew exactly when it was going to end. It had a good punchline.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So what was the experience like for you? Go ahead.
It was fun. So, I mean, I don't write poetry. And so it was a fun exercise. And it's fun to really think what all brought you here. And we think of cities, but we don't, think of ancestry and furniture and, foods and all of these things that form us. And so that was a lot of fun. I mean, it was a beautiful exercise.
Yeah, I agree. It's really fun to think of the specifics. It also is just a good writing exercise, whether you're a poet or not, just to think about, how the specifics ground us.
Right.
And give people something to relate to. I think it feels sometimes counterintuitive. We feel like, if I get too specific, no one's going to really know about, tacos al pastor, but people do. And if they don't, they might go check it out. I think sometimes I have suffered from like terminal uniqueness. I think like, I'm the only one who could have ever experienced this. It's like, oh no, you're sure about it. You find like, people, maybe not exactly what you went through, but different things. People relate to it. Yeah.
And I related to a lot of the poems, and it's so fun. It really helps you get to know the people too in a way that, they're not going to tell you those sorts of things about their family, except for through something like this. So,
especially as we get older, because when you're in college, it's like, where are you from? What do you, that might be, but no one's going to ask you. So where were you when you were 14? That's
right. Exactly.
Something we talk about now.
Did you eat when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to ask you that.
Yeah. And I love that kind of stuff because I don't really, the small talk stuff gets boring real fast. So I like kind of the little puzzle pieces that make us who we are. So any questions? Elizabeth is here and she's usually
full of questions.
She usually is, which is
And
an attribute, Elizabeth.
Yes, it's a very good plus.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going back and seeing if I can read.
Compliments.
Thank
for
you. Thank
well
you.
deserved.
Thank you.
So did you feel like you had to pick and choose, like, or did the things just come to you and these felt right?
It was a little tricky in that I had two families, right? I had my dad during the summer and vacations, and that was a tough place to be, and yet I adore San Antonio, but it was just a volatile household. And then I had my mother, and so it's like, but both of those formed me, like I said, TV dinners on one side and all organic before organic was a thing on the other.
My mom too. We had like an old-fashioned juicer that are like as big as like a large suitcase, and to make carrot juice.
We always had the avocado pits on toothpicks that we were growing.
We did that.
We were boiling the yogurt, and it was just all gross.
We never did that. That is gross.
All of our mayonnaise and all of our peanut butter was always split, and we had nothing had labels on it. I mean, honestly, we didn't have ketchup. We didn't have mayonnaise other than homemade. I hated it when I was a kid. Of course, I love that now. Mm-hmm. But there obviously the things that were stressful about Dad's house were much more important than ketchup. So, but anyway, my dad died this year, so it's a little tough in that it feels disrespectful for me not to just honor every moment of him. But then, of course, you want to be real, and but it's his anniversary of his death was this week, so it was just a weird timing to be thinking about those more difficult days. So.
I think that's true. My dad has been dead 13 years, and I have only recently been, maybe in the past few years, been able to really write about, because it was not, a lot of it is not positive, and that's just the truth, and I believe the more honest, I want to believe the more honest and truthful I am about my experiences, the more I can mind the good and the bad, where when I am trying to just focus on the positive, I think it's not as genuine. Like I can't, it's not digging as deep, and it's just kind of like, oh yeah, he taught me about how to be healthy or whatever. It's not like some meaningful lesson. It was serious and all the time about what I did and behaved like, and but you have to unlearn that. I had to unlearn so much to then pick out the good parts. Right. So I can see that that's so was your mom in San Antonio as well, or she was elsewhere?
No. So Mom was in San Antonio until my parents divorced when I was like 2. Then we moved up to Austin for a few years, and then moved to Guadalajara when I was 7. So she was in Guadalajara. She had married a violinist in the Guadalajara Symphony, which is what took us down there. Mm-hmm. And then he left. That relationship didn't last, but we loved it, so we stayed up until it was high school time, and then Mom thought we should get back to the States. So she taught at the university down there. She at the time was doing a lot of photography, so she did a ton of photography down there. And her ex-husband was, because he was in the symphony, we had all of the musicians and the guest conductors come from whatever countries they were from, and they would stay in our house. So we always had people from different countries, and my mother's always really been in the arts, so we just had really interesting people in our house always, and so that was lovely.
That sounds like it would be. If everyone's behaving themselves, that sounds like it would be.
Yeah, lovely. They were not behaving themselves, but but they were fun. And
Okay, good.
yeah, Mama never behaves herself, which is so much fun and so awful if you're sitting next to her at a formal occasion or something.
Well, if
Like,
you're a teenager,
no,
or
right,
that age,
exactly.
as you grow older, it can be inspiring, but definitely I think when you're younger, it's a little bit like, can you just be normal? Would you be normal for a minute? You know,
Yeah, yeah.
um, but I think it also can give you the space to be your own person because you have
No,
this role model of who's the person who's not becoming the
yes,
sort of woman everyone expects her to be.
yeah. And she was absolutely like that. She had no expectations about what we would do job wise or whatever. She just would say, always be independent, be able to take care of yourself. But beyond that, it was, what are you interested in? Go do that,
Yeah.
And she is just, I was very, very lucky to be raised by her, right?
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
very, very lucky.
It's a
So,
real gift to have a parent or a person in your life who is saying, what do you love to do, and encouraging you and
yeah.
believing in you. And I realize as I grow older, a lot of people I knew had a lot of pressure to be a certain type of person. And I definitely felt that less externally. I may have felt it internally, but I wasn't getting as much of it externally, which is a real gift.
Yeah. Well, we were, I think, as so many kids of our generation, pretty feral. Um, and so, but she gave us so much independence. Of course, now we wouldn't think of doing that with children. But, uh, I rode the city bus around Guadalajara all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I moved there away from there when I was 13,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like I think I was doing that when I was 10.
Mm-hmm.
And, you wouldn't think of that now, but it sure made me, um, you know, sort of an independent person and
Mm-hmm.
feel capable in whatever situation I ended
Feral
up
is
in.
a great word, Maxine said, and I agree. It is. I mean, I was actually showing my son pictures of myself at the same age he is now,
uh,
and I was like, "How are we the same age?"
yeah,
Like with the life experiences that I had had at that point.
yeah,
I mean, he's wonderful, and I love him very much, and I think he's, it's not a judgment. It's just like oh wow, I felt
yeah,
old.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
when I was his age, almost 14, I felt like I've been through a lot.
yeah,
I felt like a
right,
grown
yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah,
And I think he feels 14, which
yeah.
I give myself like, oh, okay, that's good.
And as you should, yeah, job
Yeah,
well done. Not
yeah,
repeating the sort of continuing the trend
yeah.
of the family and breaking the
Mhm.
cycle.
I was like,
So,
I'm 14, I'm ready. I wasn't, but I felt
yeah,
like,
of course.
um, and Elizabeth wants to know how you got into the law. If you were pursuing your bliss, I think that's the implication
Oh,
here.
yeah.
How did you get
Well,
into the law?
see, that's the problem is I didn't pursue my bliss. I went to work. So the family is in banking here in San Antonio. So I went to work for the bank at
Mm-hmm.
first when I graduated from college and just needed a job.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it just wasn't inspiring to me. So
Yes,
I
understandable.
love to read, I love to write, and I just thought law school would be a good thing. So I applied and went. And I think law school was inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
I think practicing law is a lot less inspiring. And there are days when it certainly is, but there are a whole lot more when it's just a trudge.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish, honestly, I had gotten out of it sooner. And but it's tough when you're in there because the intellectual challenge is fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
The camaraderie, you're just kind of all in it together, and that's great. And frankly, the velvet handcuffs of you're getting, paid well, and so you just I just ended up staying and staying and staying. And, I think all of us who formerly practiced law, and there are a lot of us, uh,
Yeah. I
think
mean, I have a
that,
lot of friends, particularly from college, who went straight to law school because they were really intelligent, inquisitive people. And it felt like, oh, well, this is and I think law school does scratch that itch, right? I mean, if you're
Yes,
asking big
absolutely.
questions, it's a good place to be. And then
Yeah.
like you say, the practice of it is very different,
Yeah.
which is true of so many things. I mean, I was in theater school. I loved that. I didn't want to be an actor.
Right. Right. Yeah.
That lifestyle didn't suit me at all. You mean, oh, I'm going
Yeah.
to go out and get rejected every day based on how I
Oh,
look? This
yeah.
isn't good for me.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, at least when I get rejected every day, they're not seeing my face. It's based on what
Yeah.
I write, not
There's
what I
something
look.
personal about it when it's how you look, you know? And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I like eating. This is going to be a problem for me,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? Um, so I think
Yeah.
it's hard. These are conversations I'm trying to have with my kids because it's not so many times the study of something and the practice of something are very different.
Yeah.
And how do you pick something that not only you like what it's about, but you like the lifestyle that goes with it? Um,
Yeah, and I obviously never did figure that out while
I
I
don't
was
know if there's a good
working.
answer. I mean,
So, I mean, sometimes it's just a job, right? You got to have a
yeah.
job, but you'd like to think you have one that you adore, but I wonder how many people really do. I don't know.
I don't
Maybe,
know that it's as many as you think. As a person who's married to a television producer and knows tons of people in the business and was in the business before I had kids, and I think that's a job a lot of people think, oh, that would be the dream job to work in
yeah,
the business. It's hard. It's a lot of work, not a lot of
right.
boundaries. You know, I mean, and then acting is another one. I know lots of people who act, you know, it's not easy having people judge you all the time.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
not just in auditions, but then even once you're successful.
yeah. No, I would not, I could never be an actor. It's just not,
Me neither.
yeah.
I laugh
Mhm.
actually at that. I thought that would be a good choice for me, but I
Yeah.
didn't know how many choices there were. That's also something I tell my
Well,
children.
yeah,
It's
you
like
don't.
I
You
just
just,
wanted to be creative. Well, I guess there was acting, writing. That was a bit about all the choices I was
yeah,
even
I
really
think
aware of at 18 years old.
most of us, I think, just fall into the job that we just somehow fell into and then kept doing that job, you know?
Mhm.
And I mean, I know there certainly are people who know when they're for what they want to do, but most of
Mhm.
us don't. And
Mhm.
I hope my kids are more courageous about leaving something that isn't serving them
Mhm.
versus just, you know, trudging through. But you know, it's tricky, and you know, I have three kids, and you know, you need the money, and you
Mhm.
know, that's a reality of it too.
Mhm.
So, um, you know,
It definitely
who
is.
knows?
It's complicated, but I think it is one of those like for me too. It's another deprogramming, like because I definitely
Right?
internalize like hard work, challenges, difficulties means I'm sort of doing it right. Like,
Yes.
oh, I'm working really hard. I'm barely surviving. I'm doing it right. You know, no, actually,
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be this hard. And,
Exactly.
and it's like, early on when I was with my husband, I was talking to another couple and they were like, so how much do you fight? And I was like, we don't really fight, you know, but relationships are hard work. Like,
Right.
well, they're work, but I don't know about hard work. You know, I don't want it to be like
Yeah.
that. And that's sort of how I feel with life. Like I had to, yes, I agree, Elizabeth, F capitalism and white
Yeah.
supremacy and colonialism or whatever word you want to use that says like life has to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's
Mm-hmm.
something we're taught and it doesn't serve us. It serves Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk,
Yeah.
you know,
And
it
just
serves them.
that we have to, you know, owning a house, that's a necessity of being an adult. And you know, having money. And you know, I think as you age, um, a lot of those things obviously become less important. But if we can only have the wisdom as an 18-year-old that we do as a 55-year-old, um, but you know,
But that's our function as parents to tell them what
yes,
they're doing is. And for me, when my kid's like, I don't really want to work super hard on this. I don't know that it's worth it for me to say, okay,
yeah, yeah.
Not to say, oh, you need to just like work so hard that, it's just, I gave myself such a hard time when I was a student. And I see themselves giving themselves a less hard time. And I think, okay.
Yeah. I had two of my kids were very, A students and serious about their school. My last born was like, a B is fine. I mean, I'm having fun. And he had it the best figured out, right? But I put pressure on my older kids when I was a younger mother. By the time he came around, I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's healthier. Do well, but it doesn't have to be perfect. That's fine.
And then I read an article about how girls generally are pushing themselves harder, like to get an A+ or like past an A, where boys generally are like, the lowest A is good.
Yeah.
And how women and girls push themselves very hard, and then they get out into the marketplace, and actually that behavior is not rewarded, and they don't get promoted, and they don't get the higher paying jobs. And I'm like, okay, it rang so true to me, because I was like, is there extra credit?
Right. I was totally like that. Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, okay, I didn't need to do that. I didn't need to get 98%. That was not, but it felt very tied to my self-worth.
Yeah, no, it absolutely did for me. Absolutely. And for most people who end up in law school, right? It's like we all have that mindset. So necessarily you're going to be pumping out people who are slightly deranged. So
my father was a lawyer. And I thought about going to law school myself, but then my whole life fell apart, and I realized I didn't want to do that. And I look back on that as being a gift when I realized, I don't want to do that. But I had to really fall apart to realize that.
Which sometimes, obviously, the biggest, most important changes are when we fall apart, But I want to add, I didn't hate every moment of practicing law, right? I'm really glad I went to law school. I'm glad it taught me how to think, how to process, how to problem solve. There's so much that I learned there. I just don't think that I needed, there was a point at which the learning had been done, and then it just became, just the work. And that's probably would have been a good time for me to take what I had learned from it and use those skills somewhere else, that was more soul fulfilling. So like writing is for me now. So,
and we love your writing. And we thank you for your writing and your humor. There's not enough humor in the world. I'm always here for something funny.
Agree.
And especially unexpected, and you're taking a specific point of view, yours, and applying it to knowledge that I don't know. So I appreciate that. We should probably wrap up. Thanks to everyone who joined us. And thank you for your questions. And thank you for your poem, Lucie, and for sharing your time with me. I really appreciate it. It's lovely to meet you.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. And thank y'all, everybody, for coming. It was fun.
Yes.
Fun.
It was fun. Okay. Bye. See you next time.
Take care.
Thanks.